What if everything you've ever worried about never actually happened to you? Think about that for a moment. Every sleepless night you've spent replaying conversations that already ended. Every anxious morning spent dreading a future that hasn't arrived. Every hour you spent lost somewhere between yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's fears. What if I told you that the place where peace lives, the only place it has ever lived, is not in the past? It is not in the future. It is here. It is now. It is this exact moment, and only this. This video is about one of the most important ideas a human being can ever encounter. An idea so simple that your mind will resist it. So ancient that philosophers whispered it for centuries. And so powerful that one man's encounter with it, on a park bench in London, changed his life completely. His name is Eckhart Tolle, and this is the story of the power of now. Who is Eckhart Tolle? Picture a young man, 29 years old, living in London, by every external measure, educated, studying at Cambridge, intelligent beyond question. And yet, inside, he was drowning. His name was Eckhart Tolle, and for most of his 20s, he lived under the crushing weight of depression, dread, and an unbearable anxiety he could not explain. He would wake up most mornings barely able to move. Life felt meaningless. The world felt hostile. And his mind, that brilliant, overactive mind, felt like a prison he could not escape. He later wrote about how he would often think, "I cannot live with myself any longer." And then one night, at his absolute lowest point, something extraordinary happened. He was lying in bed, consumed by a terror so deep he could barely breathe, when a strange thought cut through the noise. "I cannot live with myself any longer." And suddenly, he stopped. Because he realized something that would change everything. If I cannot live with myself, who is the I and who is the myself? Are they two different things? Is there a me watching another me? This simple question cracked something open inside him, and in the hours that followed, something dissolved. The fear, the anxiety, the relentless mental noise, it all fell silent. He described what came next as a state of deep love, joy, and peace, so profound it was almost unbearable, in the best way. He walked out the next morning and sat on a park bench. He watched birds. He watched people. He felt the sun. And everything felt alive, radiant, enough. He stayed in that state of extraordinary stillness for almost 2 years, living simply, sitting on park benches, being present. Eventually, he began sharing what he had discovered, first in small conversations, then in talks, then in a book. That book became one of the most widely read spiritual texts of the modern era. It was endorsed by Oprah Winfrey. It has been translated into over 50 languages, and it has quietly transformed millions of lives. The book is called The Power of Now. And what you are about to hear is everything it teaches. Section 1. What is the present moment? Let's start at the very beginning. What is the present moment? It sounds almost too simple to ask. Of course you know what the present moment is. It's right now, isn't it? It's this second, these words, this breath. And yet, here is the thing Tolle wants you to truly understand. Most human beings almost never actually live in the present moment. We think we do, but our minds, those incredible, tireless storytelling machines, are almost never here. They are almost always somewhere else. Right now, as you are listening to these words, part of your mind is probably thinking about something you need to do later today, replaying a conversation from yesterday, wondering what someone thinks of you, planning tomorrow, worrying about next week, or just drifting, skimming across the surface of your own life like a stone across water, never sinking in, never fully arriving. Tolle uses a word for this state. He calls it being lost in the mind. And it is, he argues, the single greatest source of human suffering. Think of it this way. Imagine you are eating a meal, but your mind is running through your to-do list. The food is in front of you, but you are not there. Imagine you are with someone you love, but your phone is in your hand and your thoughts are elsewhere. They are speaking, but you are not listening. Not really. Imagine you are walking through a beautiful park, but you are already composing a reply to an email in your head. The trees exist. The light exists. The moment exists. But you have missed it. You are never fully here. And so life, your actual life, keeps happening without you. This is what Tolle means when he says the present moment is the only moment in which life happens. Not the past is a memory. Not the future is a thought. Only now is real. Only now is where you actually exist. The clock and the psychological time. Tolle makes a distinction that is quietly revolutionary. He separates what he calls clock time from psychological time. Clock time is practical and necessary. You need to plan for tomorrow. You need to remember what happened yesterday so you can learn from it. This is healthy. This is functional. This is not the problem. Psychological time is different. Psychological time is when your mind uses past memories to fuel regret, shame, or bitterness. When it uses imagined futures to fuel anxiety, dread, or obsessive planning. When it takes you out of the present, not to help you, but to torture you. Most of our suffering lives in psychological time. We are not suffering right now, we are suffering about then. We are not anxious about this moment. We are anxious about a future that exists only as a story in our heads. And here is the most radical idea in the entire book. All your problems disappear in the present moment. Because problems require time. Problems need a before and after. But right now, in this exact second, you are fine. Take a breath. Right now. In this moment, are you in danger? Is there a fire? Is something happening to you right now, not in your thoughts, not in a memory, not in a worry, but right now, in this room, in this second? For almost all of us, almost all of the time, the answer is no. We are safe. We are here. And we have simply forgotten. Section 2. The problem with the mind. If the present moment is where peace lives, why is it so hard to stay there? Because of the mind. Now, before we go further, let's be clear about something. The mind is extraordinary. It has built cities. It has cured diseases. It has written symphonies and sent rockets to space. The mind is one of the most astonishing instruments in the known universe. But Tolle says something that very few people have had the courage to say clearly. The mind, when left uncontrolled, becomes your greatest enemy. He calls it compulsive thinking. And if you've ever tried to meditate, even for 5 minutes, you already know exactly what he means. You close your eyes. You try to be quiet, and immediately, the thoughts begin. What am I having for dinner? Did I respond to that message? I wonder what they meant by that. I need to call my mother. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? It never stops. The mind is always talking, always analyzing, always projecting, always narrating. Even when there is nothing to say, it creates problems to solve just to stay active. Tolle says most people are not using their mind. They are used by. They are not the driver. They are the passenger, strapped in, unable to control the wheel, as the mind takes them wherever it wants. The observer versus the thinker. Here is where Tolle introduces an idea that can be genuinely life-changing. He asks, can you watch your thoughts? Not stop them, not judge them, just watch them, like watching clouds pass across a sky. If you can watch a thought, then you are not the thought, because the observer and the observed cannot be the same thing. If you are watching yourself think, there must be a you that is separate from the thinking. This watcher, this quiet, still presence that observes without judging, this is your true self. Not the noise, not the fear, not the endless commentary, the stillness beneath it all. Tolle calls this presence consciousness or awareness. And he says the moment you step into this witnessing presence, even for 1 second, you are free. Not perfectly free, not permanently free, but free from being completely controlled by the mind. Think of it like this. You are watching a movie. The movie shows terrifying things, monsters, disasters, tragedy. And for a moment, you forget you are watching. You feel the fear as if it is real. Your heart races. Your palms sweat. But then, someone taps your shoulder. And you remember, you are in a theater. You are safe. The screen is just light and shadow. Consciousness is that tap on the shoulder. The reminder that you are not the story. You are the one watching the story. And you always have been. Section 3. The Ego and the False Self. Now we reach one of the most fascinating and uncomfortable ideas in the entire book. The ego. In common usage, we think of the ego as arrogance. Someone who talks about themselves too much. Someone who needs to be the center of attention. But Tolle means something much deeper, much more universal, much more hidden. The ego is the false sense of self that the mind creates by identifying with thoughts, stories, roles, and beliefs, and mistaking that collection for who you are. Let me give you an example. When someone criticizes your opinion, and you feel genuinely hurt or angry, what is actually happening? A thought was challenged. Just a thought. An arrangement of words and ideas. It has no physical form. It cannot bleed. And yet you react as if you were attacked. As if your very existence were threatened. But because the ego has fused your identity with that thought. It says, this opinion is me. This belief is who I am. So when the opinion is threatened, the ego experiences it as annihilation. The stories we tell about ourselves. The ego builds an identity out of stories. I am a successful person. I am someone who has been wronged. I am different from other people. I am better than this situation. I deserve more. None of these stories are who you are. They are narratives the mind created, often very early in life, to help you navigate the world. But somewhere along the way, you forgot they were stories, and you became them. Tolle says, you have a name, you have a job, you have a history, you have preferences. These are useful. They are part of being a human being in a practical world. But they are not you. They are things you have, not what you are. Underneath all the stories, all the labels, all the roles, there is something that's simply is. Awake, aware, present, still. That is your true self. The ego's greatest fear. The ego fears silence. It fears stillness. It fears the present moment. But because in silence, in true, deep stillness, the stories become transparent. The ego begins to dissolve. And a part of you panics because it believes that without those stories, you will cease to exist. But here is the truth Tolle wants you to hear. You will not disappear in the silence. You will arrive there, for the first time, fully. The ego is afraid of the present moment because the present moment is the only place where the ego has no power. The ego lives in stories about the past and plans about the future. It cannot survive in the raw aliveness of now. Section 4. The Pain Body. This is one of Tolle's most original and powerful concepts, and it may be the one that explains more of your behavior than anything else you've ever heard. He calls it the pain body. Here is the idea. Throughout your life, you have experienced pain, emotional pain, humiliation, rejection, loneliness, betrayal, heartbreak. These are universal human experiences. Everyone has them. Now, what happens to that pain? Ideally, we process it. We feel it fully. We allow it to move through us. And it dissolves. But most of us don't do that. Most of us, consciously or unconsciously, suppress it, push it down, distract ourselves from it, refuse to feel it because it hurts too much. And that unprocessed pain does not disappear. It accumulates. It forms a kind of energetic residue inside you. Tolle calls this residue the pain body, a semi-autonomous emotional entity that lives inside your being, made entirely of old, unprocessed suffering. The pain body is not just your past. It is a part of you that has become addicted to pain, that actively seeks out suffering to feed itself and stay alive. Now, before you dismiss this as too abstract, let me describe what this looks like in real life. When the pain body activates. Have you ever had an experience where you were in a perfectly fine mood, and then something small happened? A comment, a look, a word, and suddenly you were consumed by an emotion completely out of proportion to what occurred. Your partner says something slightly dismissive, and you don't just feel mildly irritated, you feel a deep, burning rage, or profound sadness, or you shut down completely. And a part of you knows, this reaction is too big. This isn't just about what just happened. Something older is being triggered. That is the pain body activating. That small trigger touched an old wound, and the pain body woke up and took over. Suddenly, you are not responding to the present moment. You are responding from years of accumulated hurt, as if it were all happening right now, all at once. The pain body's survival strategy. Here is the most haunting part of Tolle's insight. The pain body does not want to heal. It wants to survive. And to survive, it needs more pain. So it does something clever. It hijacks your thinking. When the pain body is active, your thoughts become dark, paranoid, victimized. It finds evidence everywhere that life is against you, that people cannot be trusted, that you are not safe, that things will never get better. Not because these things are true, but because your pain body is feeding. It is literally eating the emotional energy of these thoughts. The pain body is the past living through you in the present. How to dissolve the pain body? So how do you free yourself from it? not by fighting it, not by suppressing it, not by pretending it isn't there. Tolle says the single most powerful thing you can do is this. Become aware that the pain body is active. Observe it, name it, feel it fully without identifying with it. Simply say, even silently to yourself, the pain body is active right now. And then feel it, not the story around it, not the blame, not the justification, just the raw feeling in your body, the tightness in your chest, the heat in your face, the heaviness in your stomach. When you do this, when you bring conscious awareness to the pain, something remarkable happens. The pain body cannot survive in the light of awareness. It begins to lose power. Not immediately, not perfectly, but it begins. Every time you catch it, every time you observe it without being swept away, it becomes a little smaller, a little lighter, a little less in control. This is not a quick fix. Tolle is honest about that, but it is the way. Section 5. The Power of Awareness. We have talked about the prison. Now let's talk about the key. Awareness. If there is one word that captures the entire teaching of the power of now, it is awareness, presence, conscious attention. But what exactly does it mean to be aware? To be present? Because we hear these words constantly now. Be present, be mindful, be aware, and they have lost some of their power through overuse. So let's go deeper. The space between stimulus and response. Viktor Frankl, the great psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, once wrote that between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies our freedom. Tolle is describing the same space, but teaching us how to live in it. Most of us live like this. Something happens, and we immediately react. Automatically, unconsciously. Someone says something, we respond before we've even thought. An emotion arises, we act on it instantly. A trigger fires, and we are already lost in the reaction before we ever had a chance to choose. Awareness is the practice of lengthening that space, inhabiting it, choosing from within it. The moment you notice that you are thinking, you are no longer lost in the thought. You have stepped into the observer, and the observer is free. Practical awareness, what it looks like. Tolle is not asking you to empty your mind. He is not asking you to stop thinking. That is neither possible nor desirable. He is asking you to notice your thoughts, to take one step back, to create the smallest gap between you and the machinery of the mind. Try this right now. And I mean actually try it, not just hear it. Ask yourself, what will my next thought be? Did you notice something? The moment you asked that question, there was a brief, quiet pause. The mind went still, just for a second, as it prepared to answer. That pause, that gap, that is presence, that is awareness, that is the door. Body awareness as a gateway. Tolle also offers a very practical, very physical gateway into the present moment. The body. The mind lives in the past and future, but the body only ever exists right now. Your heartbeat does not beat yesterday. Your breath does not inhale tomorrow. Your hands, your feet, the temperature of the air on your skin, all of these exist only in this moment. So whenever you feel lost in thought, whenever the mind drags you away, Tolle says, come back to the body. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. Feel the rise and fall of your breath. This is not just meditation advice. This is a lifeline, a way home. The present moment is always available to you. It is never crowded. It is never late. It is always, without exception, right here. Section 6. Letting go of past and future. Let's talk about two of the heaviest weights a human being can carry: the past and the future. We carry the past like a suitcase we never unpack. Old wounds, old failures, old humiliations, old versions of ourselves that we haven't forgiven. We drag these stories behind us every single day, and then we wonder why we are so exhausted. And the future, we lean into it with a desperate, anxious urgency, as if happiness is always one achievement away. One problem solved. One milestone reached. I'll be happy when I get the job, when I find the relationship, when the money comes, when things settle down. But Tolle says, this is the great trap. The future you are waiting for never arrives as the salvation you imagined, because when you get there, your mind will already be looking for the next thing. The prison of the past. Tolle does not say, pretend the past didn't happen. He does not say, ignore your history. He understands that some people carry genuinely terrible things in their past. Trauma, loss, abuse, injustice. His point is different. His point is, your past is not happening right now, and yet, you are allowing it to define your present reality. When you hold on to resentment, you are not hurting the person who hurt you. They may not even be thinking about you. You are keeping yourself in a prison built from events that no longer exist anywhere except inside your own mind. Forgiveness does not mean the past was acceptable. It means you refuse to let it continue to damage your present. Letting go of the past is not betraying your experience. It is reclaiming your now. The anxiety of the future. The future is even more seductive as a source of suffering because it feels productive. Worrying feels like doing something. Planning feels responsible. Anticipating problems feels smart. But there is a difference between practical planning, which is healthy and necessary, and anxious obsession with imagined futures, which is the mind spinning its wheels in quicksand. Here is what Tolle asks you to consider. How many of your greatest fears actually came true? How many hours did you spend dreading things that never happened? How many nights did you lie awake catastrophizing scenarios that existed only in your mind? And of the difficult things that did happen, how often did you find that in the actual moment of crisis, you had resources you didn't know you had? Strength you couldn't have predicted? Clarity that only arrived when it was needed? The mind imagines the worst. The present moment, when it arrives, is almost always survivable, almost always navigable. The only moment you will ever actually have to deal with is this one. And this one you can handle. Section 7. Acceptance and Surrender. We have arrived at what may be the most misunderstood concept in Tolle's teaching, and possibly the most powerful. Surrender. When most people hear surrender, they think of giving up, of weakness, of defeat, of accepting a bad situation because you are too tired to fight it. That is not what Tolle means. Not even close. Surrender in Tolle's teaching means this: stop fighting with reality. Stop arguing with what is. Let me illustrate this with a simple scenario. Imagine you are sitting in traffic. You are late. The cars around you are not moving. You are gripping the wheel, your jaw is tight, your mind is running through everything that is going wrong because of this. You feel frustration building into anger. Your entire inner world is in conflict. Now ask yourself, is your frustration moving the traffic? The traffic is what it is. It exists independent of your emotional state. Your reaction to it changes nothing about the external situation. It only changes what is happening inside you, and it makes that worse. What acceptance actually looks like. Tolle's concept of acceptance is not about passive resignation. He makes this very clear. Acceptance simply means, first, acknowledge the reality of what is. Be in truth with what is actually happening right now, without the added layer of resistance and protest. From that place of acceptance, you can then take action. Clear, intelligent, focused action. In the traffic example, accept that you are in traffic. Accept that you will be late. Make one phone call if necessary. And then breathe. Put on music you love. Use the time to think, or simply to be quiet. You did not surrender to traffic. You surrendered to reality. And in doing so, you kept your peace. You kept your energy. You arrived. Yes, but intact. The three options. Tolle says that in any difficult situation, you have three options. And only three. 1. Change the situation. 2. Remove yourself from the situation. 3. Accept the situation fully without inner resistance. That's it. Every other response, staying in the situation while refusing to accept it, suffering in it, fighting it endlessly inside your mind, is not a fourth option. It is suffering without purpose. Pain added to pain. What you resist, persists. What you accept, transforms. This does not mean you become passive in the face of injustice. Tolle is not asking you to accept abuse or tolerate what is wrong in the world. He is asking you to bring clarity to your action by removing the static of resistance from your inner state. Action taken from peace is always more powerful than action taken from panic. Section 8. Living in Peace. We have come a long way together. Through the noise of the mind, through the ego's endless stories, through the pain body's grip, through the weight of past and future, through the confusion of resistance. And now we arrive here, at the heart of everything Tolle wants to say. Peace is not something you find. It is something you uncover by removing everything that is not it. The peace that Tolle describes is not a feeling that comes and goes. It is not the relief you feel when a problem is solved, or the happiness you feel when things go your way. Those states are beautiful, but they are temporary. They depend on external conditions. They will not last. The peace he is pointing to is something more fundamental, something that exists beneath all conditions. A stillness that is always present, like the silence that underlies all sound, even in the middle of a storm. Glimpses of peace. You have already felt this peace. You may not have recognized it for what it was. You have felt it in nature, standing at the edge of the ocean, watching waves come and go, and feeling something inside you go quiet. Not because a problem was solved, but because, for a moment, the mind stopped narrating, and you simply were. You have felt it in music, when a piece of music moved through you so completely that you forgot yourself. For those moments, there was no past, no future, no identity, no problem. There was only the music, only this. You have felt it in love. In the early days of love especially, when someone looks at you in a way that makes the entire world fall away, and you are present in a way you rarely are. Not because love solved anything, but because love brought you here. These are not accidents. These are glimpses of your natural state. Moments when the noise stopped long enough for you to remember what was always there. How to practice living in peace. Tolle's practical guidance is beautifully simple. Not easy, but simple. Begin with this. Bring your full attention to whatever you are doing right now. Not because it deserves attention, not because it is important, but because it is happening, and now is the only place where you can actually live. When you are washing dishes, wash dishes. Feel the water. Notice the weight of the plate. Don't be somewhere else. When you are in conversation, be in the conversation. Not preparing your response. Not judging what you're hearing. Actually listening. Actually present with another human being. When you walk outside, feel the ground beneath your feet. Notice the air. See the sky. None of this requires you to become a monk. It does not require you to leave your life, abandon your responsibilities, or achieve some elevated spiritual state. It requires only this, small, repeated acts of returning, coming back, choosing now over and over again. Every single moment in which you are fully present is a moment of freedom, and freedom, gathered moment by moment, becomes a life. Let's return one final time to that park bench in London. Eckhart Tolle, sitting in the morning light, not because he had solved his problems, not because his life had become easy, but because he had discovered something that no problem could take from him. The present moment. The simple, radical, transformative power of being here, of not being somewhere else, of meeting this second, not as an obstacle to overcome, not as a waiting room for something better, but as life itself, as the only life there is. The Power of Now is not a self-help book in the conventional sense. It does not give you strategies to fix your problems. The Power of Now is not a self-help book in the conventional sense. It does not give you strategies to fix your problems. It does not promise you a better career or a perfect relationship. It offers something rarer, more enduring. It offers a way of being that transforms how you experience everything, not by changing the external world, but by changing the only thing that was ever in your power to change: your relationship with this moment. What you can do starting today. Once today, just once, stop what you are doing. Not for long, just for 30 seconds. And feel. Feel your breath. Feel your body. Feel the temperature of the air. Look at something near you. Truly look at it as if you are seeing it for the first time. And notice what happens in that 30 seconds. You don't need to fix anything right now. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be here. That is enough. That has always been enough. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. Eckhart Tolle. If this touched something in you, share it. Leave a comment below about one moment today where you chose to be present. I read every one. And if you want to go deeper, the book is extraordinary. Read it slowly. Sit with it. Let it breathe. Until next time, be here. This moment is enough.